Never enough time. Going right in to entry number 11. Um, there's like that. I think when it comes down to me, my major sin, since we are speaking in religious and Christian terms, my major sin is the time that I've wasted, uh, the talent, I guess, that I was given, that has been wasted. Um, that is my major fault, my major downfall. Probably one of the worst things that I've done is um, I've wasted all the time that I was given. Um, that's the major thing. And again, if there's one thing that anyone that would actually listen to these entries, what I would really want them to take away is that, in the end times, the Word of God will not be contained in books. It will be written on men's hearts. You're not going to find the Word of God in any version of the Bible. Um, People can and do argue and debate over, um, you know, which version or which translation is right, um, which one's wrong. Um, if you don't listen to or read or whatever the King James version, or the Greek Orthodox version or the whatever, then you're completely and totally wrong, and it's whatever, all of those versions, every Bible out there has is a book that has been um, rewritten, retranslated, um, but most importantly, rewritten by men over and over and over. Um, Probably at this point, um, 100 times over, it has been rewritten, and it has been rewritten by men. um, Now that is all about that. What I want to get into now is the fear. Um, the fear that is and has been growing inside of me um, for a long time now, but it is accelerating and has accelerated, um, especially these past, couple of months, maybe even couple of years. Um, it has been accelerating, and it is really, really extreme now. And I think that um, this fear that I'm speaking about, um, it's blanketing all of humanity. It's blanketing all of human society. Um, and this fear that I am talking about is at an all-time high, an all-time peak, uh, at an all-time at the most maximum strength that it has ever been. Um, and I'm not sure really what that has to um, what the agenda is behind that. Um, I'm not sure if that fear, the fear is definitely being created um, and amplified by our mainstream. whether you want to say the mainstream media, mainstream whatever, it has been being amplified by politics, by religion, by the news. Um, it is just being completely amplified. Um, we have all these like back a good couple of years ago, that fear um, was in the form of terrorism. Um, that was the main uh, focus of fear, was terrorism. Now, um, one of the main focuses of fear, of course, is this COVID crap. But moreover, it's this it's a political thing. It's a um, there's so many little points. You can't even really put your finger on it. Now, if you were a Republican and Democrat, and you were very staunch, or very strong or strict in your beliefs of being a Democrat or a Republican, that major fear or focus is the opposition. So, be it, let's say you're a Republican, um, that major fear, the great adversary, so to speak, as far as if you are a Republican, is the Democratic National Party. That's what they're using it. And see, I'm rambling. Uh, I'm losing my mind. Um, I have this constant fear gripping and creeping over me all the time now. Like, see, um, I remember like saying, and especially my first few entries, about how I feel like it's I'm going down soon. I have some sort of major health issue going on with me. Um, I'm not sure if it's a heart issue, if it's a lung issue, if it's I don't know. I don't know what's going on, but there are, and right now this is why I'm coming on here, and I'm putting in, entry 10 and 11, and I'm probably going to hit entry 12 even, um, because I don't feel very well. I don't feel right, you know. Um, I fell asleep in front of the TV, sitting up in front of the TV, um, a couple hours ago, and this keeps happening where I'll fall asleep in front of the TV, and I'll wake up, um, you know, um, after like maybe an hour or less, and I'm not getting very much sleep. That's the type of sleep I'm getting. I'm not getting 8 hours of sleep. I'm not even getting like 4 or 5 hours of sleep. That's a problem. But that's the type of stuff that's happening to me. Um, uh, hard to explain, but the major thing is I basically I woke up and like my ear is numb. Um, my ear is super numb. Um, and kind of the surrounding area in my head, and I'm freaking out. I don't know what's going on there with that, why that's going on, and it's still, I mean, it's been at least an hour or two. Um, Nothing else is really wrong. It's just that, and now it's not, I mean, you get that because they have that fear going, and maybe it's just me. Maybe I'm just a fearful, paranoid, devastated mess, becoming a hypochondriac. This whole COVID crap and all that stuff, I'm sure, isn't helping, and is turning a lot of humanity into a hypochondriac mess. Um, but I'm becoming a hypochondriac, and I was never like that before. This is very recent. This is pretty recent. Maybe past couple of years, but it's been super amplified. these last like 5, 6 months, where I don't know. I mean, what is that a sign of? If you're like, your ear, side of your like like head and stuff is numb. What does that mean? What's going on there? And of course, my mind immediately goes to things like having a stroke or something. Um, I don't I'm sitting here. I'm trying to like um, get out like things out of my head and broadcast things that I think are like super important to humanity. And I'm sitting here thinking that I'm having a stroke. I mean, come on, dude. That's ridiculousness. That's ultra um, paranoia, hypochondriac, hypochondria, uh, paranoia at its finest, at its peak, at its best. um, and I don't know, is that going on with a lot of people? Is that going on with humanity? Is that the major goal now? Is to have people always like living in super fear that you know the they're gonna take their last their final minutes are always around the corner, because I certainly have been feeling that way for a long time, that you know my final hours are here. My final days are here. My days are numbered. And when you really think about it, um, I mean, on top of it, I am kind of sick. I have a sore throat. But I don't know, when you really think about it or look at it, like that is what the media wants. It wants us to be in constant fear. It wants us to think that you know um, our final days, hours, even seconds are right around the corner. Um, it's keeping us tuned in and paying attention to it through fear. And again, one of those major fears is not necessarily COVID. That's just a new focal point. Um, the major fears are almost completely political, um, and in the United States, it's almost completely Democrat and Republican. Um, but it's just so much more complex than that. Um, it's still like that is the major um, binary split in the digital systems that the human digital systems that they have going on right now, being blanketed over humanity. They're trying to make us more digital, most definitely turn us more digital, more robotic. um, is that divide, but we have um, China is a huge fear. Russia, throughout it all, Russia has pretty much remained a enemy throughout the Cold War. The Cold War, um, geez, who knows when the Cold War really started? Did it start in the 50s? Um, the 50s and 60s, I guess, where it really, started. The Cold War was pretty strong in the 80s. I know that much. Cold War was huge in the 80s. Every movie out there, in the uh, in the 80s, the major action movies and stuff, it was usually the Russians that were the major enemy. Funny how that enemy evolved into the terrorist. In the late '90s, in the new millennium and stuff like now, that the major enemy is the terrorist, and that major enemy, that terrorist, um, went from being Middle Eastern to you know American, American terrorist. Um, they're even kind of blatantly like putting in our face that there's like it's rogue uh, senators, rogue politicians, rogue businessmen that are like the terrorists and stuff now. And in a way, there's a lot of truth to that. um, in America, especially, towards humanity, the major enemy is the politician, but it is all of them. It is the whole political system uh, that is humanity's enemy. Um, it is that whole political system that is attacking humanity, that is enslaving humanity. It's governments, be it the American government, um, you know, I'm sure that the Russian government is definitely, um, they look at their people, not, they look at us as the enemy, you know, our government looks at us as the enemy. Um, it looks at us as we need to be controlled by them. Um, it's I don't know what to say or do anymore. It looks like I've gone past that 15-minute mark, and I don't know anymore. We'll see what happens, but maybe I have more than 15 minutes on a video. I don't know anymore. There's another huge problem that's going on here where they're stifling our speech. They're censoring what we can do and say and everything. I mean, that's another huge talking point. Um, and all the confusion that I have going on in my head, and like the things that I'm trying to talk about and speak about. That's certainly something that is a huge problem and needs to get out there, um, or get talked about, be addressed. Is the censorship, the censoring that they're constantly doing and implementing on humanity. We are we're in big trouble. um, so many things out there, so many things out there, um, that we need to watch out for, that we need to address, that we need to fight, um, and that is a major one, um, I don't know if I'm going to make it back on here again. I know that I need to come to a halt here, and um, I need to somehow try to get some sleep if that can be done. Um, I just hope that this numbness in my ear is not a big deal, and maybe I just slept on something wrong or something like that, but it's certainly not going away, which kind of like puts a little bit of fear in me. But me still being able to speak and somewhat coherently think. I guess a lot of people would beg to differ and argue that I am not being coherent. That's a good sign. So to end it all, um, um, we maybe need to not be so fearful of everything. Um, at the same time that we do need to be fearful of the things that are going on, we might need to be fearful of how much they're trying to digitize humanity. Because if you have, people in a binary system, if you have digitized humanity, um, it's all the easier to control humanity through, whatever means, through digital means. Um, the whole, I find it strange that, there's a lot of talk of the fifth, the new age is the fifth age, and we have this fifth generation, or it's called the fifth age, the fifth generation, whatever. We have this, fifth generation communications that are being implemented. We have this 5G crap going on. Um, I think that's something to be wary of. Um, just trying to recap things. 5G is something to be wary of. The Democrat Republican binary split of America is certainly something to be feared. America itself is something to be feared, um, no matter what, militarily and politically worldwide. Um, we are a force to be feared. And all that stuff. But ultimately, the goal is not for America to dominate and rule the world. The goal is to have one government, you know, one group rule the world. Um, which is, that talk of that new world order, that one world government, one world religion, one world currency. We keep stepping closer and closer to that stuff. Especially the more that we digitize the world, the more that we get closer and closer to um, the one world government, the one world, the new world order, the one world order. The closer we get to that one world currency and all that stuff, Um, if if the United States and the economy crashes, um, there's going to be some problems, and that's when you're going to have to start looking for that one world currency, because they're going to need to redo everything, because everything um, pretty much revolves around the United States economy and the United States dollar, regardless of what anyone would say, um, regardless of what argument anyone would come up with. Um, the United States economy, the United States dollar is what um, every other country's economy revolves around. Everything's pegged. The World Bank only works in shares of, or only, the only currencies that you can use um, to, buy shares in the World Bank or whatever um, is gold or United States dollars. Um, the major contract that the World Bank put out to the world um, is that every other country's currency is pegged to the dollar. It's not pegged to the yen, which is Chinese money. It's not pegged to the euro. Um, it's not pegged to whatever the Russian currency is. it's pegged to the dollar. Things aren't even, there used to be where everything was backed by gold. The dollar was backed by gold. Um, the yen, the euro. Well, the euro was definitely didn't exist during the times of um, a gold standard. But it used to be that things were pegged to the dollar, or I'm sorry, we're pegged. We're backed and pegged to gold. How much gold you had, but that is a thing. That is an really big thing of the past. um, Nowadays, I'm telling you, I don't think that um, world currency um, is backed by anything anymore. It literally really is just um, numbers in a digital system, numbers in a computerized system. Um, there's no longer anything tangible. Um, our the world currencies are no longer in any way tangible. World currencies are all ideas, things that exist in um, fantasy worlds or digital worlds, digital realms, numbers and computers. That is what the currencies are. And that is another thing where, um, whoever is in control of the World Bank, whoever is in control of the numbers in, this digital, world, they're the ones that are in control of everything. They control all the currency, every currency. Um, they can just what who or it whatever you want to call it. Um, it can just create currency out of nothing, out of thin air. The prince of the air can just out of thin air uh, create currency. So when you really think about it, that's insane. That um, how important currency is, um, but how unreal currency is. It's things are getting really strange in the new age. Things are getting really strange in the new normal, and I just don't know. They always say, well, we have that on our money, order out of chaos. Well, there's been a heck of a lot of chaos created um, in the world, and especially late. There's always been chaos in the world, but lately, the chaos has been steadily getting more and more chaotic. Um, it's being created more and more. Like our currency, you know, being created out of thin air. This chaos is coming from all angles. That chaos. The chaos is everywhere, and it's being manufactured. Being manufactured through fear, through through financial systems, through everything that it can possibly be created from. It's being created, and it's being um, implemented and used as much as possible. So this chaos, um, and that is one of their big time mottos: is order out of chaos. Because when you really think about it, it's 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 harder to control um, order um, than it is to control chaos. You know, um, when everybody is in a chaotic state, when things are in a chaotic state, it's easier for someone to come in and control that. You know, and um, focus and manipulate it to their benefit. Um, if you have like something that's like in order and stuff, that's harder to it's harder to penetrate that. It's harder to um, take that over or whatever. It's harder to take control of something if you don't have control of something, and you want control of it. It's easier to cause a bunch of chaos and then step in and take it over, than it is to step in and try to take something over that's very well ordered and well organized. And I promise you that um, this new world order, um, it's got its stuff together. It's got its stuff. It's got its crap together. Um, that's why it's called the New World Order. They got their stuff together, and they are causing the chaos, and then they're stepping in, and they're making order out of this chaos. Um, but as for me, as for now, um, I'm gonna I'm gonna take my leave. Um, if you've listened this far, if you even listened to just this one video, I thank you for your time. I truly appreciate it. Um, I know I probably sound like a nut case, um, but I need to get control over my chaos, and my chaos is I need to get the order. I need to get order in my head, because um, these videos are pretty chaotic and all over the place, and I really don't have any like order or purpose except to that I know something is wrong in the world today.